Welcome once again to Musings by Danon. As I'm sure you know, we are inundated with Isekai series. Counting reincarnation stories, this season of anime has 11 Isekai series. 12 if you want to count solo leveling, which is arguably a reverse Isekai, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. There can be no doubt that Isekai isn't going anywhere for a while. Now, Gigguk already did a great video on the origins of Isekai and how, back in the 90s, the goal of those transported to another world was to make it back home. This seems to have been done away with in most modern Isekai, but it does still happen from time to time. In fact, there's a whole subgenre of Isekai that I like to call post-Isekai, which is the subject of this video. Also, and I know it's annoying to keep hearing this, but statistically, if I don't ask you to like and subscribe, the video gets fewer subscribers. Oh, one more quick announcement before we get started. I'm streaming on this channel as well as Twitch. It'll mostly be Final Fantasy XIV, but you're more than welcome to pop in and talk about manga. Honestly, about half my streams are talking about manga, anime, or Commander. Now, what do I mean when I say post-Isekai? We all know what an Isekai is. Someone gets hit by a truck, wakes up with new powers, goes on a rampage with said powers, gets an entire harem of hot tsunderes, defeats the demon lord, then lives happily ever after. That's the end of the story. But in some series, the character comes back to Earth, and sometimes after they come back, they still have their powers. Let's talk about some series that begin after the end. I've already done a video on this series, but for those who haven't seen it, let me explain the premise. Our main character, Kyojo Kyoya, is summoned by a demon lord so that he can kill her. Not just any demon lord, she is known as the Demon Lord of the Lost. Across the branches of the multiverse, worlds are being devoured by demons. Some of those worlds have heroes. Heroes summoned by goddesses to defeat the demons and free the world. But many worlds become lost. On one such word, Fiorolus Fionashurg, or Felice for short, grew powerful enough to travel to other worlds and ravage them as well. Before long, over 1,000 worlds fell to this woman. But one day, she woke up. Felice was made to be a creature of destruction. She's an artificial life form, and her sole purpose was destruction. But one day, a glitch happened. Maybe it had something to do with the goddess sealing her on her home world, but Felice attained self-awareness. But some of her root programming remained. She wanted a way to end her life so that she would never go on a rampage again. And part of her knew that one day, she would return to being a creature bent on destruction. So she summoned a hero of her own, one without gifts or abilities granted to them by the goddesses. And the world Kyoya was summoned to is a dead world. Everything has been destroyed, even time, which means he has all the time in the world to be trained by Felice. 30,000 years later, Kyoya is finally strong enough to defeat Felice, which is good because her programming has started to reassert itself. They fight, and Kyoya is victorious. But he doesn't kill her. After all, he's come to love Felice. You don't spend an absurd amount of time with someone and not develop feelings for them. He uses his power to destroy her root, which weakens Felice incredibly, but also frees her from her impulses. She's now free to live, and she has no idea what to do with that freedom. So Kyoya invites her to live with him in his world, to show her what a normal life can be. She agrees, and they return to Earth together, where they are promptly stopped by weirdos in suits. Apparently there's a transfer management committee. Kyoya wasn't the only person to get summoned to another world and then return to Earth. There are hundreds of people just like him. Well, nowhere near as powerful as he is, of course, but still, any blessing or power would make you a superhuman. So, a school has been set up for those who have returned. A school built to help other worlds. Worlds that don't have heroes of their own. But Kyoya doesn't have to worry about that. He's in the dropout class. You see, when a goddess summons a hero and then that hero goes on to save the world, they are granted a crest. The Savior Crest. And Kyoya doesn't have that crest, because the only way to get it is to kill a demon lord. So even though Kyoya is the strongest person at this school by any stretch of the imagination, he's treated as a failure. The bottom rung on the totem pole, which suits him just fine. The less attention he draws to himself, the less likely anyone will discover the cat he has living in the dorms is actually the Demon Lord of the Lost. So to sum up, we've got a school full of people who have returned from being isekai'd. I hate to use the word realism to describe anything that happens in fantasy, but if certain things aren't handled in a realistic manner, you get pulled out of the story. There are several students in this school dealing with PTSD. Watching your friends get killed by goblins is traumatizing, and the fact that the manga put in the effort to have characters who were traumatized by their otherworldly experience means that a lot of thought and care went into this series. I highly recommend this series and hope that we eventually get an anime. Or at least an official release of the light novel. Another series I've already done a video on, but this one hasn't been updated in a long time. Let me set the scene. Morishita is being horrendously bullied at school. I'm talking about being threatened with a metal pipe. He runs away and hides in the bathroom. While praying for an escape of some kind, he is summoned to another world, where he becomes the hero. He eventually defeats the Demon King along with his companions, then bids them farewell. After all, he needs to taste his mother's cooking again. When he returns to Earth, he finds himself in the same bathroom, but only a couple of hours have passed. Morishita also discovers that he has all of his powers. And I mean all of them. Remember, he was a hero who saved the world and defeated the Demon King. He's incredibly strong, fast, resilient, and has magic powers to rival any Archmage. He quickly deals with his bullies, but now has to contend with agents of the Catholic Church and exorcist Mikos, as well as a whole underworld of powered individuals. Of course, none of them come close to his power level, but the series is fun, and most of the tension comes from the fact that he's an awkward dork who doesn't know how to talk to girls. Another one that I've done a video on but hasn't had an update in a while. It's not exactly a post-isekai series, but there are a lot of similarities. One day, the god Metron shows up in Kamiya Yato's classroom, tells him that he needs everyone to come to another world to defeat the Demon Lord, snaps his fingers to give everyone powers, then drops a massive summoning circle to bring everyone back to his world. The problem is Kamiya is sleeping in the corner, and his desk was outside of the summoning circle. So Metron gave him powers but didn't bother bringing him to the other world. Shenanigans ensue. Kamiya trains himself to become more powerful. Powerful enough that he's able to take out an entire terrorist group without anyone at the school realizing what happened. Eventually, problems start coming from the other world, and Kamiya decides it's finally time to go to that other world and solve them. Because of the training he's done, he's far higher level than any of his classmates who were first summoned. The thing I love about this series is how lazy Kamiya is. He does not care about anything but getting enough sleep and eating good food. Romance? No one has time for that. Video games? Boring. Food and sleep are all a man needs. Despite this, he did train himself to become strong, because he knows that the only way to lead a truly lazy life is to become so strong that no one can stop you from being lazy. I know, it's silly. The reason I hesitated to put this one on the list is that it's not really a post-isekai. He does wind up traveling to the other world. I couldn't tell you what happens after that because the manga hasn't updated in a while. Hopefully we'll get an official release of the light novel one day. This is another series that hasn't updated in a while, and one that I hesitate to call a post-isekai, but I've been meaning to talk about it for a while and figured now would be a good time. Let me set the scene in order for you to understand why I think it belongs on the list. Our main character saves an old man from getting run over by a train and is killed in the process. It turns out that old man was actually a god. As payment for his good deed and for losing his life, the god grants him powers and promises to send him to another world. The problem is, this god is senile, and the world he sends him to is Earth. That's right, our main character, after getting killed by a train, is granted cheat abilities and returns to Japan. He then finds himself embroiled in various supernatural problems on Earth after adopting a different god. I really hope this one gets an official release, since we haven't had an update in almost 2 years. Kotone Fujimara is the reincarnated Demon Lord. At least, that's what her minions are claiming. You see, in their past life, they were the generals who served the Demon Lord of Darkness, Quantumorg. No, I'm not making up that name. Now, the question is, are they all out of their minds and under some sort of Chinubio delusion? Or are they telling the truth? Just because Kotone has a scary face and a glare that terrorizes bullies, doesn't mean she's actually the Demon Lord reborn, does it? And who's this boy she's crushing on? Could he be the hero reborn as well? Only time will tell. Assuming someone picks up the series, of course. As I stated at the beginning of the video, Isekai anime from the 90s were all about characters trying to return home. 4 years before our story begins, Haruto was summoned to the world of Andagulia in order to defeat the Demon King. He was looking forward to a rewarding life with a harem full of beautiful women. But the mages who summoned him sent him back right after he defeated the Demon Lord. This didn't sit well with Haruto, so he spent months figuring out how to reverse the summoning magic. Finally, he was able to recreate the magic circle. The only problem is, the new world he ended up in isn't Andagulia. The magic is different, the places aren't the same, but that's fine, he's finally able to get his harem of beautiful girls. And who can blame him? I mean, if you were a hero with all that power, wouldn't you want a harem of your own? Finally, the most recent of these post-Isekai series. Once upon a time, a hero refused to kill the Demon Lord and was executed for it. He was reborn on Earth and still has his curse-cleansing power. And who should suddenly transfer into his class only a few weeks after he regained his memories from his past life? The reborn Demon Lord, of course. And, like him, she was reborn with her curse as well. A curse that could kill everyone on Earth. The only way to stop that curse was through the power of exorcism. A power that Gogo, our main character, kept when he reincarnated on Earth. You see, the witch Celia once cursed the entire world, summoning plagues, famine, and monsters. But curses have a backlash effect, and this curse was so strong that not only was it killing her, when she died, it would kill everyone on the planet. So now Gogo has to help cleanse that curse in order to keep it under control. And the best way is skin-to-skin contact. No, not that level, but a kiss helps. Did I miss any? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cutestuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits@gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. There are several tiers to choose from. You can pick an anime or manga for me to do a video about, or you can join our monthly manga club. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Waffles, Jiraiya, Muffins, Marcus, Brett, Roxy, Alex, Borgie, Naswin, Conga, Aaron, Chris, Robert, William Pye, Gazaris, Booksu, Patrick, Naffy, Noodle, Tiz, Art, Richard, Devon, Lucius, Sint, and Om. You guys are awesome. I post anime or manga videos often, or you can click here to watch additional videos. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Musings by Danon.